Yeah, what is going on?
Yeah, what is going on? Yeah, we weren't expecting this at all. To answer your question, no, absolutely not.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now.
So Shahab and Afraz, thank you so much for your time today. Interesting times for Azaab. I saw several messages when, first of your songs of the new album were being released. Very excited fans from Pakistan saying, now the world will finally see that metal is alive, or how alive metal is in Pakistan. So my first question for you has to be, how alive is that?
Yeah, well, we're not really sure. It's funny because for the past 10 years there's only been a handful of metal releases from Pakistan.
Yeah.
But in the last 12 months or so, there's been, I think, 3 or 4, maybe in the last year and a half. So there's been 3 or 4 releases all of a sudden, including our release. But other than that, for the past decade or so, it's just been dead. Maybe some band puts out one single, or it's very rare that you'll hear metal coming out of Pakistan. So yeah, maybe Afraz knows a few bands.
No, I don't actually know of many bands. Yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah.
So not metal scene is pretty dead at the moment. Yeah.
Pakistan is a very diverse country. There's a lot of different people, different backgrounds, different cultures living together, and a lot of them. It's still, at the end of the day, considered an Islamic state. You said it, extreme metal is not maybe the most popular thing in Pakistan. Extreme metal and religion in general are not always the best of friends. Does that make it extra hard being an extreme metal band in Pakistan? Are there a lot of people that have a lot of ideas about you before they even listen to one song?
So it's interesting. That's an interesting question, because as soon as we put out this music, we've got a lot of comments, people saying, "Oh wow, they're so brave, making music that's metal music." And a lot of is every other second, third comment, people saying, "That's great, you guys, doing a good job, defying the odds or whatever." But it's not like that at all. I mean, I've been doing metal in Pakistan for the past 15, maybe 16, 17 years, since my early teens.
Yeah.
Or I have known or seen bands do it. So there's never been that problem from anybody saying you can't do metal, or you shouldn't do metal, or that you're banned, or you cannot play shows or anything. That's never been a problem for us. Actually, Pakistan is a very liberal country when it comes to the arts, especially music. So they're very accepting of all sorts of music. It's just that there's no audience here that listens to.
Yeah.
So metal hasn't really translated well with the local people here. It's not that I've heard stories of Iran that happening there, but it's never happened here. You'll never hear a metal band being sent to jail or being banned or anything like that. So it's just it's happened in Iran, and recently I've heard Saudi Arabia has opened up to allowing metal shows, and there's bands playing metal in Saudi Arabia as well. But Pakistan has never had this. We've never had anybody say you cannot play this sort of music. People have been sort of not very welcoming in terms of letting us use their venue. Actually, this is what we're going through at the moment. We're trying to put up some shows, and nobody's giving us their venue because they think that this music isn't sort of the best for their business. You know what I mean? Maybe it will drive away the customer base or whatever, but there hasn't been any bans or anybody saying that you can't play music because of religious reasons or anything like that.
I'm calling you from Toronto in Canada, where we actually have a very large Pakistani community here. And there are certain areas in the world where you have large Pakistani communities. I know that with traditional metalheads, like myself and people all over are really, liking the album. But are you seeing also reaction from people that share that Pakistani root with you, that are reacting to this album? Do you see that people from areas where you weren't expecting it, maybe were asking about the music and listening to the music?
So yeah, so people, there's very few Pakistani people that live abroad and listen to metal have reached out to us, and they have sort of said, yeah, it's great. And this one guy said, it's great that there's death metal out of Pakistan, and he said that's the cherry on top is that the music's not bad either. Usually, yeah. So that's, I remember that one comment. But yeah, people from Pakistani people based in other countries have absolutely, yes, reached out to us. I on our Facebook and our Instagram, and people are sending us their music. So there's one guy, he's based out of the US, sending me music. Hey, it's great, check me out, I do some solo stuff as well. So that's great. I've actually discovered so many Pakistani bands because of this, people sending me their stuff. They're like, this is great what you're doing, and we want you to check this out. And I'm glad that I've found maybe 4 or 5 other musicians or projects. Once we're done with promoting this album, I'll definitely share those on our socials as well.
This album is being picked up quite a bit. It's on the radar of a lot of people all over the world. Now, I know that both of you play or have played in many bands, and it's not that you are new to the world of metal, but this is the debut album of this band. Were in your wildest dreams, were you expecting that this album was going to be so well received, or is this somewhat of a shock?
Oh, this is definitely a shock. We had no idea that people were gonna listen to this and buy the album and spend their money on buying our stuff, digital copies and CDs. We don't even have the CDs yet. It was just pre-ordered, and apparently that's doing really well. But it's been a total shock to us. I just thought we'd put it out and then it'd just fall by the wayside, and just it'll just be one of those next project. Millions of albums on the internet. It'll just be one of those. I just had no idea we'd be getting all these reviews, and all these reviews are very encouraging as well. I don't think we've had a bad review so far. So I was expecting maybe it would be like in the middle somewhere, but we're getting really good reviews, which is very sort of shocking. I would, every time there would be a review, I'd call Afraz or send a message. Have you seen this? Have you read this? Because,
what is going on?
What is going on? We weren't expecting this at all. To answer your question, no, absolutely not. And also, this is the first time either of us have been part of an album. We've written maybe a few songs together in different projects and played some live shows, but this is the first time either of us have done an album or even an EP. So this is the first time we've been involved in anything like this, and we didn't know anything about the music business. All we knew how to maybe record our music and maybe play our instruments, but other than that, had absolutely no idea what promotion was, how to sell CDs, or before going into this, I didn't even know if people were still buying cassettes.
Right.
Because I consume most of my music online. That's how I find bands and listen to music, is everything's online, Spotify, all of that. So I didn't know people were still doing that, and people are sending us emails saying they want to buy vinyls. They're like, when's the vinyl coming out? When's the cassette coming out? And there is a cassette. It's an Indonesian label, and the Indonesian label is doing the cassette. But so now we're starting to look into vinyls as well, because there's so many emails and messages across all these different platforms saying when's the vinyl coming out. So that's just, I've been getting these messages just blowing my mind,
Awesome. Afraz, for you, what was out of this whole cycle, like what was the biggest learning so far, apart from that people still like cassettes? And I would show you my cassette deck over there, but
absolutely.
Fun collectible.
I think like just going back to the thing that Shahab was talking about around like the feedback that we got and stuff. So initially when Shahab actually told me that he was planning to do this and that he had a bunch of songs written and stuff. And at that point, like it was pretty much understood between the two of us that at the end of this, it's just me and him that are going to be listening to this, because that's how it's been for all of our previous projects. It's just like, occasionally it's like a couple of views by some random people, but mostly it's just us listening to our own music. So, so it was quite shocking that people actually were listening to it. I think there were a lot of learnings at the recording stage, how to record things, how to I think this time we weren't. I mean, when we went into it, we weren't quite sure how everything would pan out, when the label would come in, what time we need to get everything ready by, stuff like that. So I think there's definitely stuff for next time that we know that, okay, we need to have this, and this in place before we even start talking to people. So yeah, I think a lot of stuff for the pre-production and recording stages, things like that.
Okay. So like going back to like, this kind of clash or the shock where you see that not just in your own little community the album is getting some traction, but all over the place. Maybe that's a nice segue to your song When Worlds Collide, where you got Bobby from Def on as a guest on the album. Not every death metal band on their first album gets to have a former Def member playing a guest solo. How do you get connected with Bobby?
So the way that happened was that as like the songs started to take shape, and we almost had done all of our parts, we left a few parts for guest appearances. Shahab said it would be good to have some people, and that made sense to have some like big guns basically playing some stuff on the album. So then we just started discussing it, that like who should it be, and every day we would be sharing names of like our like sort of guitar heroes, all of the usual people in all of the big bands. So I think one day Shahab just said that, what about Bobby? And I was like, yeah, let's do that, because it was like instantly, he's one of our like favorite guitar players. We're huge Death fans, and we're also huge Symbolic fans, and so his playing on that album was just like crazy. And so yeah, that's how that happened. And then Shahab will tell you what happened when he sent us the solo.
Yeah, so I emailed. I brought it up to the Afraz. I said, "How about Bobby?" And Afraz said yes, and I said yes. And there was no other conversation that took place. We just said yes, and there was no like maybe this or no or maybe no, none of that. It was just yes, let's do it. And I emailed Bobby, and he replied straight away. I think within a couple of days, and he heard the music, and he had some nice things to say, and we were very happy that he was into it. And then he said, "Okay, I'll do it." And then the first draft he sent us is the actual solo. There was no changing involved. There's nothing happening. We didn't ask him to redo anything. It was even though he asked us if we wanted to have something redone, and we said no. We said no. This is perfect. And he actually sent it with his guitar tone. So it's not me using anything else or reamping. It's his tone. Yeah, that's his tone, his solo, first draft on the album. We loved it. It's one of my favorite solos on the album. It's just so very different. His style is just so very different and unique, and it's just it's one of my, like I said, favorite solos on the album now.
You said before, like, it's been a bit of a challenge finding venues for some shows, and I mean, obviously, it's not always easy for bands, all over the world in the last 2 years, but from Asia, it's not always easy to take tours to Europe or America and all that kind of good stuff. But you obviously have a good product. You want to promote this product. You want to make sure that as many people get access to it. So what are the next steps for the band? Are you looking into potential touring outside of the continent? What should we keep our eyes open for?
So yeah, it's something that we talk about every time we meet, really. It's something that we discuss every time we speak, that, this is something that we should do, because it's not that it's because I keep getting emails and messages from people saying, oh, next time you're here, we want to come to your show. And, so I'm getting all these emails, but then again, like it was for the whole release process, I didn't really know where to start. I had so much to learn about that whole release process and labels and all this, business side of music that I still don't know. But this is something that I am looking into now. And we're also discussing possible dates and months that we can all actually get together, because some of us live in different places, in different countries. Okay. So Afraz lives in England. He's based out of Bristol. The three of us live in Pakistan. Our drummer is Indonesian. So we're still trying to figure out how we can do all of this. Indonesia, touring Asia was going to be easier for us because of our drummer, and it's just easier to go and tour Asia. But then their COVID situation is still a bit out of control at the moment. So we are still, this is, yeah, so to answer your question, I am still looking into this, and there is a possibility that we will go and tour at some point, and this is something that we want to do and promote the album, like you said. Yeah. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we might be able to pull this off at some point.
I thought it was a fun choice when you guys did covered Empty Throne by Decapitated. Kind of like I don't know if that was meant as a nod in any way that, you know what, hey, the throne for Pakistani metal is available and we're gonna take it. But what made you choose that song specifically?
So I actually recorded that song when I was maybe halfway done with the album. I always wanted to do a cover because I listened to Obscure's earlier albums, and they always had some, even Obscure had some covers in there. They did a Death cover, Suffocation cover, Morbid Angel cover, then Decapitated also do covers. They did Slayer cover, they did a Napalm Death cover, they did a Deicide cover. So I thought it'd be great to, you know, do at least one cover of a band that I really, really like, and Afraz also really, really likes. So Decapitated was a no-brainer. It was either Death or Decapitated, or two favorite. Yeah. So we went with Decapitated just because I think I was listening to that at the moment. So I was like, you know what, a great song to cover. Yeah, I said, what a great song to cover. And also the songs that I had already written, this was a little bit different than those songs. So one of the reasons why I chose this one and not some of the other faster Decapitated songs is because this is very different from all the other songs. So I thought maybe put in something different than what I'm already playing, just not have stuff sounding similar to our stuff, and just put something in completely different. So this is probably the slowest song on the album. And what a great song.
I want to say thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it. It's always great to see when unexpected successful albums happen, and especially when it comes from areas where traditionally people don't expect, you know, death metal to come from. So that's really cool to see. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And I hope that the release cycle of this album is just going to continue to such an extent that you are going to make more cassettes and vinyl and go on tour. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thanks very much, Jasper. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.